Hey guys, it's Tom Box. Welcome to MST.TV's Banlist R&D, a segment where we look into one particular deck and we're going to buff it or nerf it, depending on if it's been in the meta for a very long time or if it's a newcomer and perhaps it needs a little bit of a boost so that we can play it in the upcoming meta. And we're also going to gauge how heavy we're going to hit it. So this is the episode here today, and for the subject matter, we are going to be talking about one of my favorite decks, Dragon Links. You know, we could be like Scrubby Steve where we're just bad LP, call it a day, you know, deck is dead. You know, that's an easy prediction that we can all basically make the assumption of, but what if they don't hit it the same way? We've experienced this time and time again from Konami where they hit the deck, but they don't hit it the way that we expected, and we're trying to understand the reason why, and we're trying not to get blindsided by them. So this is why I'm trying to create this segment, to just explore a bit more so that we're not like Scrubby Steve and we can try to get a little peek behind the curtain. If you guys like this content concept, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, hit the subscribe button, ding the notification bell, and if you guys really want to support this channel, you know, do a huge favor to me, check out the Patreon link down in the description, and well, join the Patreon and get your box dividers available today, I guess. So let's jump right into this one. A quick history of the deck. Of course, they started off as being, you know, Chaos Thunder Dragon or Chaos Dragons, which was pretty insane because it uses the Guard Dragon package, making the ultimate anti-negate board that your opponent really can't play through. Anti-search, anti-everything. No spells, you can't use monster effects, and yeah, they're basically stuck under the inability to play. They needed like an imperm to even to kickstart any kind of playing, and that was just pretty insane. This is before Dark Ruler No More. This is before Nibiru, which, you know, combo decks were just basically not in check. In 2019, of course, we got our hand traps, and eventually, of course, the Colossus was also banned, which led to people playing one card combo World Chalice just to start Ib being able to set up the entire combo on her own, because she's just really powerful. Eventually she got banned as well, and the boards are still really powerful. We got Appaloosa boards, still hot red, and then Agripane, of course, also died. And for a short time in 2020, people thought that, hey, Dragon Link was dead, no one really played it, until the Rocket package finally got shoved back into the deck. It started off as just being a Rocket deck, and then now, of course, it's that one card juggernaut, one card combo, push yourself all the way through to the infamous Buster Lock with negate and hand rip, everything just kind of neatly packaged together. So this is where we are right now. So based on that, let's just move forward into some of our hit candidates, and there's heavy, medium, and light, and alternative that we're going to be talking about. Let's starting off with heavy. We have, of course, Guard Dragon LP, and there's also Dragunity Knight Romulus. There is no Dragon Link deck that would not play these guys, or at least would try to go into these cards. We'll go into more detail as we go through this. As for medium hits, we have Guard Dragon Pisti, Krishna Halki Fibrax, and Quick Launch. Yes, even Quick Launch is in here because they are a little bit more reliant on the Rocket package these days to get the Borload Savage. And Savage is a key component because usually it gets tied in with the Buster Lock, but it's not necessarily the only way to Buster Lock someone. But these are medium hits. They have to change their game plan, and also it creates a lot of exposed weakness if you do hit these cards. And then there's also light hits, where the deck is 100% going to survive and evolve, which is Seifert and Phalanx. If they hit those two cards, there is going to be some level of adapting for the deck for a short period, but then it's probably going to come back in full swing based off of what I've seen, because we played without some of these cards before. Although a lot of the stuff has already been hit, there are just ways that we can readapt, because the Dragon package isn't exactly that small either. You know, the lineup of Dragon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is basically a Dragon-based card game to some degree. It's either waifu, dragons, or machines. Seems like that's the trend. Or you can be, I guess, furries if you're into like zoo. Anyways, alternative hits. These are some of the more interesting ones where they impact the deck in terms of the end board, where they can't go into the same stuff anymore. And for that, there is Smoke Grenade and Chaos Dragon Levy in here. These two cards, we're trying to take away the utility where your opponent gets to rip cards out of your hand. And if you have a full 5-card hand against this deck, are they that threatening? And the other one would be taking away some of the negation options, which is Borload Savage, which seems to be everyone's go-to Synchro 8 and Herald of the Arc Light. Although these are unlikely hit candidates, it is interesting to kind of explore what would happen if they actually don't have these options, so that what are they more susceptible to more hand traps? Are they going to hold the board just as well. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And at the end, we're going to take a guess on how they're going to hit it. Now, for Guard Dragon and LP, it's pretty obvious. You just hit that card, you lose the entire line of combos. It just ripples all the way down. Here's the path that we go down. Without the LP, you don't go into the Brotar. Without the Brotar, you're not getting hand ripped by Chaos Dragon Legionnaire, at least not consistently anyways. And then since they don't have the Brotar body, going into the Pisti or the Protector Whelp, or even like the Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres, that's like 5 lines of plays are just disappearing and, you know, getting dusted away like Thanos snapped. But then there is also Romulus. If you hit Romulus, that's an opening play cutter, because Romulus does not require any tuners, so it's just one of the easier options to go into. And if you just look at like sheer card advantage, use 2 cards to go into 1 Romulus, but that searches you 1 card back. And with that 1 card that you search back, it technically net 0 because I don't count really the Lance as a card. The reason why is because you just get rid of it anyways. So in other words, you use the Lance to get a Phalanx, which is a card. So you just net 0 all the way through while setting up the corner arrows. And the thing about having a Romulus is that you don't need to go into Needle Fiber to actually push your combo through. Even if you go into the Romulus side, you can do the entire thing without Needle Fiber. Not as safe, of course, but it is an option if you get hand trapped. If you get hand trapped, you always have a fallback. Taking away Romulus puts away the fallback, which means hitting the Needle Fiber or hitting the remaining combo is so much more valuable. An example of this is similar to like Adamantipator's losing their Block Dragon. If they lose their backup plan and just the board just completely gets wiped, the game is over, which is why you don't see Adamantipator's topping events very often anymore. It's simply because they are not very resilient, and resilience is something of value for decks. People just kind of disregard it. 1-card combos are great, but if your combo fails, you lose. Doesn't really work out. So hitting these cards have significant impact, because hitting, of course, LP combo path is dead. Hitting the Romulus, you lose the resilience in the deck, and you're going to be super tuner reliant, and you don't get a free Phalanx. And in other words, you have to remodify the entire deck once again. Okay, for medium hits, it's going to be quick launch, it's going to be Pisti, and there's going to be Crystal and Hellkey Firebreaks. Although Hellkey Firebreaks technically can be a heavy hit, very similar to hitting Romulus. Okay, for quick launch, to get it out of the way, it's just mainly a consistency hit where they would make it less reliable as an extender. Most people use it as an extender. Let's just face the facts here. They get to summon out a free Rocket Tracer, and it's a level 4 Dragon Body that goes into, you know, your additional Romulus, goes into Crystal Hellkey Firebreaks because it's a tuner. It's so flexible, and making it less reliable seems like a natural course of action. Another way to hit, of course, is the Pisti. Hitting the Pisti downs the entire line of additional bodies, for one thing, making it more difficult to go into this Hieratic Spheres, because you're more likely going to want to go into the Saryuja so that you can dig into going into the Borreload Savage with the Rocket Tracer. Typically, you use it to revive the Rocket Tracer from the Banish or the Graveyard, right? But you can't do that anymore, right? Because you can't revive, you don't have a Pisti anymore. So you have to dig for it, and you have to use Saryuja's summon effect to bring it out. And if you do that, where are you going to get the materials for the Union Carrier, and where are you going to get the materials to go into the Hieratic Seal of Heavenly Spheres? You have to expend hand resources to get there, which is why hitting Pisti isn't exactly a light tap either. It's significant, but not as bad as, you know, losing the entire combo branch, which LP kind of, you know, shoulders. For the Crystal Hellkey Firebreaks, the reason why it's a medium hit compared to Romulus being the heavy hit, because Romulus is just that much easier. It just requires 2 dragons, and it is the reason why the 1-card combo exists. Because Abe Chalice Justicezar is already gone, that would have been the 1-card combo. Easy, but this is not the case anymore. You can't really search out, you know, your World Chalice or World Legacy Guard Dragons to get free revivals anymore. So hitting into the Crystal Hellkey Firebreaks means that you're going to be more reliant on the Romulus, but more significantly, look at the line of plays that Needle Fiber leads into. It leads into going into your Metal Marcher, it leads you going into your Herald of the Arclight. Herald of the Arclight naturally is more or less a floodgate, because stuff from the hand, stuff from the deck, they get banished. So in other words, they lose that, they lose an Omni Negate. Setting up that board is no longer going to be that easy. There's a long list of stuff that goes away with it, which means the board is significantly weaker, or you have to find an alternative board to go into that perhaps can replace it, but this is not an easy void to fill. And let's move on to some of the easier hits. Now, if they're going to keep the deck around, they are going to hit Safer instead, and perhaps even Phalanx, so that you can't use Phalanx. Sorry, Dragoonity players. Although it's very unlikely, I think there's that Dragoonity structure deck that might be coming around where Phalanx is still kind of a crucial piece. So let's talk about hitting Safer. What happens if Safer goes to 0? It's a 1-card opener that's going to be going away. However, it is one of the 1-card openers that has a significant, weakness as well. Getting hit by an Ash is pretty painful. I know most people play Gamma, and it is one of the Gamma bait points of the entire deck. You summon Safer, you activate the effect, they Ash, you Gamma, now you have your tuner, you can go Needle Fiber and do your whole play without even going into Romulus. It's a pretty fun way to kind of push forward your entire board. Great way to bait with a Gamma too. And you get your search as well. You get your white and black dragon and you can just go off. That's significant, that's great, but losing it just means that you just play with all the other 1-card combos. Likely people are going to switch into using Dragoonity Chamber Dragon Maid to go into Hospitality, and that's also a form of a 1-card combo that lets you go into Romulus plays. That's why I think it's just not as significant. But the other thing that you lose is the ability to recover with a Chaos Dragon Levineer. Chaos Dragon Levineer in a simplified game state is just so devastating. It's almost like summoning a JD when someone's already down to like 1 card. It's just pushing them when they're down, and you can even rip a card down out of their hands. So the inability to recover some of these cards is, I think, quite impactful. You might see the whole deck shift more towards going back into VFD building instead. It's an easier route because you can easily spit out the body still, but you just don't have the end goals anymore, which is why hitting Safer is just quite important. As for Phalanx, just to quickly touch on this one, and if you guys are enjoying this segment so far, smash that thumbs up button and leave your comment down in the comment section of how you think the impact would be on different cards that you would hit. Or if you have different hitting suggestions, leave it down in the comment section as well. Now, for Phalanx, of course, that impacts mainly just 1 card, Romulus. Romulus going to the Divine Lance. It's just not that good anymore, so then you just wouldn't play it. You're more likely to see people go back to the Absol route and just go into the Dragon Ravine dump cards and try to play with that. You might see Tempest come back as the extender. I know we don't have Destrudo. Destrudo, of course, is banned as well, but it is just one of those things that people can try to push forward again, bring back some of the older cards. They even could push the deck towards making rank 8 dragons, but then again, is this really a Dragon Link deck anymore? And alternatively, they can try to go into Blue Eyes. And speaking of alternative, okay, for alternative hits, of course, we have taking away the ability to rip cards out of your hand and gain hand information. Take away Smoke Grenade and take away the Chaos Dragon Levineer. Because the biggest part about Dragon Link in terms of control is that the amount of hand that they get to minimize and the ability to simplify the game state while maintaining a dominant position against your opponent. That is one of the key factors about this deck. And if you take that away, are you able to break the board with 6 cards? Let me know down in the comment section. If you have all 6 cards, are you able to break a full Dragon Link board? Say they had everything except for the Chaos Dragon Levineer and you didn't get Smoke Grenade. Games 1? Maybe. Iffy, I would say at best. But then in terms of games 2 and 3, I find that building the entire board might not be enough. That's just me. And if you get their Dark Ruler No Mores, you're not losing them. You're actually going to be able to keep them. If you get your Kaijus, they're not going to get shuffled back in. It's just a very big part of this, and that means that they are going to have to do a little bit of a guesswork when it comes to negating certain cards in your hand or on your field. It's just limited information that they get to work with. It's easier to bait. They need more knowledge about your deck in order to function. And I think losing this part, if Konami wanted to keep the deck alive, this is a potential approach. Although I do like Chaos Dragon Levineer, so I really hope they don't hit this. But Smoke Grenade possibly can go. Now, looking into the last kind of hit, this is like very unlikely, but it's fun to kind of talk about. Borreload Savage and Herald of the Arclight. Herald is probably not going to get touched. There's ritual archetypes, they need this Herald just because they can. But when it comes to like when it comes to like Borreload Savage, everyone's go-to Synchro 8, how are they going to take that away? Like, how is it going to replace? Can you still build a negation board? Like right now I can still expect that there's still be Herald of the Arclight, but What about the Union Carrier? What is Union Carrier going to attach to? What kind of board are they going to set up? Are they going to go into Hope Harbinger? Are they going back to rank 8? Or are they going to go like a Dragon Maid route where they're trying to get the fusion for the negation? You guys let me know how would they actually play. Do they even have an end board remaining? Are they going to go back to its Link route, go into Appaloosa, go into Nightmare package to control? So it's more control oriented. That is something interesting to kind of just brainstorm on, because that would be really out of left field if they hit the deck like that. That's very strange, but I would say it also kind of impacts the end board. In other words, the end game meta would change, and the way that people adapt to boards will also shift. Now, knowing all these different hit candidates, where do I stand when it comes to hitting cards? Knowing what I know these days in terms of how most decks are hit, I'm going to put Adamanticators here as an example. They hit Block Dragon mainly, and then the deck died. Well, it didn't really die. It's still playable, but it's definitely not resilient. And one of the biggest, downfalls is because it is not resilient in terms of like handling the grind. It kind of just fell out of the meta. It got knocked down a couple of tiers. I think I kind of want to do the same thing if it comes to Dragon Link. If they had to get hit, don't kill them outright, but make it so that they have a tougher time playing, so people will still try hard with the deck and then maybe eventually drop the deck afterwards. Hit Pisti, hit Seyfert, hit Quick Launch. I'm hitting a bunch of like tinier cards, so it seems like the deck is still playable, and maybe also hit the Phalanx. So even though you have LP and you have Romulus, it's going to be so hard to actually combo off with it. So I hit 4 cards, hit most of the medium targets and most of the light targets, just so that it feels like a much heavier hit. I don't know. That's my thoughts. How would you hit the deck? Do you just want the deck to be completely gone, or do you think that maybe you can still make it a bit more strategic so that the deck is still more or less quote unquote playable, but it's kind of like significantly weaker version of the deck? Let me know down in the comment section below. And this is my first iteration of Banlist R&D. If there's any other decks that you kind of want me to explore like this in terms of, right before a ban list, let me know down in the comment section. I would like to hear that as well. If you guys enjoyed this segment, smash that thumbs up button. If you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, well, hit subscribe, ding notification bell. Remember, there is still that giveaway that is going on if you watched this video really recently, of course. And I will see you guys in the next one.